Hi, everybody. I just want to say welcome to you. I'm Pastor Steve Bloomfield from Champion Church here in Arizona, in Yuma, and I'm here with State Representative Tim Dunn, and he's a part of our church and on the board of our church, but also is a state representative, and therefore he kind of has the ear of the government, and he's been able to really help us move forward as a church during this time and get back. Today we had our first service back in our building, and so I've asked Tim if he would just say a few words to you as a pastor or a congregation about what are the guidelines to get back into church, and just kind of find out what the details might be. So Tim, what could you tell us about getting back into church?
Thank you for this opportunity. And the governor has been very specific that he is not telling us, he didn't shut churches down, he didn't tell us exactly how to do things because of our constitutional issues, but we know with the CDC guidelines, and that we have to try to figure out how each individual church can conform the best they can. The Attorney General of Arizona issued a statement last Thursday saying that churches can open up, they can congregate, they can be in groups of bigger than 10, but you do need to try to do the best of your ability to follow social distancing guidelines. And that's where, as a church, you need to make those plans. And I know I've talked to the Catholic diocese; they're coming up with their own plan for individual churches, how they're going to guide the Catholic Church in doing that. So, but each individual church and our board, after the advice I've given the pastor, we wanted to make sure coming out of the gate here that we had masks on, because we know inside our church it's hard to get social distancing. People want to hug each other, want to love on each other, and it's just hard to stay 6 feet apart. And so that's what I think as a church and as your group, when you figure out what to do, how can you manage your people when you come in? Because you just got to think about it. We know that there's the incidence of infection is low, but you just got to think, what happens if one person was in church without a mask, and what would that look like when people start thinking about it next week?
If somebody did have the disease, and even if they didn't know they had it,
correct,
but they came into your group, what would you be doing to protect everybody from it? And one of the things we did was we set families together, and then we had a 2-seat separation between any group that came together as a family, and then the next person as well. So that was one thing we did. Another thing that Tim suggested, and coming from the government, was that we all wear masks all the way from the car, all the way in and all the way out again. And so we've been complying with that. And those rules even those guidelines may lighten up week after week. But today, that's kind of where we're at.
And like I said, that's the government didn't say we had to wear masks because social distancing. You're not required to wear them in Sam's Club. So you're not. But as you look into the manufacturing and business community, you can work side by side with the mask. So why can't we be closer in proximity into a church setting? And that's where you just need to make sure and follow the guidelines so you can be good neighbors. You can figure out how you're going to keep people social distancing. And if you can't, we at this point have said let's wear a mask. And our local health director said that one of the biggest things for infection, it would be your choir or your praise band up on top in an elevated position, talking without masks on, singing, projecting things out into the public. And so they really wanted to make sure the pastor was sitting, step back, and he could take his mask off when he's preaching, because he didn't have anybody on the stage with him, and he was 20 feet away. So it's still, those precautions are done. We're doing an abundance of caution. We're doing things like we're going to do in some of the salon facilities. We use disinfectant on all the chairs, in between services.
And we did that here in the church. We disinfected everything.
So it's all good. You just do what God lays on your heart, but try to make sure you protect your folks.
Anyway, we just wanted to give you a little heads up, and hope that you'll be able to get back to church soon. If you're not already, I'm pretty sure that Mother's Day will be your first day back into church. We just pray that God blesses you in all your efforts. So thank you, Tim. We appreciate a word from the government to our churches.